You're listening to the Warlord Radio Podcast.
All right, so here we are, and tonight it is me and Carrek, and we're just going solo together. We're the Lone Rangers.
We are the Lone Rangers.
Yeah.
The pluralized Lone Rangers.
But we wanted to do one where it's just us kind of BSing, because it's great to have guests involved. But we also just wanted to kind of like talk about the things that we've seen and done and stuff like that, give people a little bit a better impression of what it's like.
And let's just sit and talk. We're massive weirdos. Like, we don't know that many people that are like, will just sit and talk with us for a while.
Right?
It's very strange.
But anyway, so I was, we were talking about road stories. And Carrek was talking about a story about getting out there with an earlier band before Diesel Beast.
First off, I don't. For those of you that don't know, Craig fronts a band called Silver Tongue Devil from Dallas. Jason and I play for a band called Diesel Beast in Denton, and we're scene worthy. I think we're there.
Oh, you guys are you guys are it in Denton, man.
We are it in Denton. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you.
No, it's not. It's Satan's honest truth. I mean, it's Denton has a cool scene for sure, man. There's some really good talent around here as far as like punk and metal and just like weird ass music, which I'm a fan of just in general. So there's some really cool cats around here, but it is a smaller and truly underground scene because more and more of the fucking clubs around here are closing, and people are
playing like beer stores and stuff now.
As Denton becomes more and more gentrified and more money gets pumped in, which is not always terribly bad, but typically the artists do suffer under those conditions.
I didn't think I'd say this at this point in my life because I've been doing this for a very long time, but what this town really needs is a rich kid with absentee parents.
Right.
Like, he could really do a lot for the scene if he just, like, emptied his pool.
Right.
And had a couple of shows.
But to circle back is, no, man, Diesel Beast are a huge central part of the metal scene. I mean, that's not just my impression. That's just a fucking fact. Is you guys are out there playing and, doing things like putting out a fucking top-notch album.
Thank you.
And, getting notice, like, nationwide as far as reviews and label interest and all this kind of stuff. So, within this little scene that is the Denton area, is you guys are definitely top of the heap. Like, no matter what anybody's a fan of, it's like there's few bands around here that are doing more just as far as the work.
Well, thank you.
You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
Go us. Yeah, thank you. I didn't really look at it. We're old and we're tired of playing shit playing. We just want to make good music. Right? That's really what it is. When we stopped being concerned with being cool and we're just like, we just want to do this for real. Yeah. But, yes, thank you very much. Those are very kind words. Anyway, so, yeah, I am from Diesel Beast, was apparently very popular.
Right.
And Craig is also from Silver Tongue Devil, the Dallas Denton band, because you guys, you're a Dallas band, you have a huge following in Dallas, but you pull great in Denton. You really do.
Yeah, like so there's the Metroplex, there's Denton, Dallin, and Fort Worth. And all of those places have slightly different scenes.
Yes.
And
like several scenes stacked on top of each other.
And so there are definitely like a good concentration of bands that are through and through Denton bands, or are through and through Dallas bands, or through and through Fort Worth bands.
You guys are a good Metroplex band.
And that is, like, we consciously, like, really wanted to make all of that our home. And we do consider it our home. Like, we love Fort Worth. We love the people that we see and that we play with in Fort Worth, and those are great cats. And feel the same way about Dallas, and we feel absolutely that way about Denton.
You are the most hugged metal band I've ever seen. Like, anytime we go anywhere with you guys, it's just like people line up and they're just like, Silver Tongue Devil's here, it's time for bro hugs.
Right.
And it's fucking wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that it's a very warm like inviting atmosphere, and then we'll just like play a bunch of crazy music with a bunch of our friends.
Yeah, metalheads get it all out in the pit. We're so nice to each other when we're not slamming. I mean,
I do have
so nice.
I do have a theory that has proven right most of the time, that there's an inverse relationship to typically the heavier the band, the nicer they are, and the nicer their fans are.
For like 90% of the time, I would totally agree with that.
Like just majority, not that there aren't.
Every now and then, there's like that asshole that takes himself like way too serious. He's like, I only have a fucking low G.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But what I would say is, if you compare that to a scene of like a radio rock band, those guys are some of the biggest douchebags you will ever meet in your entire life. And it's like, even if you try to make nice with some of those guys, is you just like can't fit in the same room with their ego. It's like, dude, we're playing the same club. Like trust me, like, you're not Motley Crue.
I have that exactly. It's because we were talking about, we're going to kind of concentrate on road stories, so I'm going to get this kicked off because you just remind me, like, I had this exact thing happen to me. Ghost, who is the lead singer of Diesel Beast, and I have been playing in bands with each other for like a decade, and we were playing this fucking shithole club in Fort Worth. It was off the TCU campus. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, I was going to ask, man.
Fuck. But, okay, so we got roped into doing this thing, and they had it set up like American Idol style. So it was a battle of the bands that had 4 judges that, like, judged you to your face.
Dude. Fuck battle of the bands.
Yeah, no. And I was already at a point in my musical career where I was like, why did you book this? What the fuck are we doing here? So, and we were playing in like this weird goth gypsy band at the time. We were very strange. And we got up and we did our thing, and the judges actually liked it, right? So they were like, okay, well, you guys are moving on to the semifinals. Ooh. And I was like, there's fucking more of these. And
like 4 rounds.
And then the band, and this is a fucking hot take, man. I'm coming in hot on this one. The only other band that was like kind of at a pro level, like there were a lot of good bands, but I mean, these guys like obviously put some money into their production and shit.
Right.
This band was called Kaiser. I fucking see you, Kaiser. You're out there somewhere, Kaiser, and fuck you, Kaiser.
So right. Kaiser, like
Kaiser. These guys they were like a Nickelback style.
Ooh.
Like, because, I mean, American Idol Battle of the Bands, this was fucking, like, one of the least ideal gigs in the world.
Now, this might be the most promotion they've ever gotten.
That's true. So you're fucking welcome, Kaiser.
Right?
So anyway, the first night we play with these guys, and we're all like, because they're all in their fucking like flannel shirts with the big crosses on them and shit, and the bedazzled jeans.
Yeah.
And I mean, I try not to judge a book by its cover, but if your book has a very douchey cover,
right,
I'm gonna probably think you're kind of a douche.
Right.
But I mean, I couldn't talk because we're all in like fucking eyeliner and just like crazy makeup and bullshit. So like we meet outside to smoke cigarettes, and they're out there, and they just like ignore us.
Right.
Completely fucking ignore us. And then they play and they get moved on to the fucking, next round. And then we get up there and we do our thing. And the judges really liked it because we were a pretty tight band. We were very good. Mm-hmm. And so we got moved on to the next round. And it's like this whole time I'm just like, how many fucking are there? There was 4 rounds to this thing, dude. And every time we got passed through. And so the first night, these guys wouldn't even talk to us. The second night, they were like, yeah, man, that was a pretty good set. Cool. And then, like, walked off like the dude was fucking Bono.
Right.
Remember, this band is called Kaiser. Fuck you, Kaiser. So anyway, like, the third gig in, we're in, like, no, this was the finals. What was weird about this thing is there was prize money. There was, like, $2,000. Mm-hmm. And so, and really what it is it was a scam to get bands to play a club for 4 weekends in a row,
right,
and not get paid, and then you only have to pay one of them, like, for 2 weekends.
Right.
So, fuck this gig. Anyway, so the last night we're there with Kaiser, and again, it's like the weird goth band standing outside smoking cigarettes, and then, like, the fucking bedazzled jeans and Ed Hardy crew come rolling through, and this dude just starts, like, humble bragging like a motherfucker. Like, comes up, starts hugging us. Oh, man, it's good to see you again. Man, so we were playing with fucking Alien Ant Farm last summer. And, like, just
name
dropping
drop.
all these... I mean, like, dude, this dude was just dropping names all over the fucking place. And he was just like, you know, man, we played some really big name gigs. This is kind of like not our thing, but we were like doing a favor for a friend. And we were like, whatever, man. None of us care. And they go in and they do their set, and they ended up saying, they were like, yeah, there's another band coming up. Like, they're like, keep it going and then they got the name wrong, even though they played fucking 4 gigs with us.
Right.
Like, they called us Bone Daddy instead of Bone Doggy or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
And then, like, made fun of Bone Doggy. And it was like, okay, cool. So we got up there and we fucking crushed it. Like, we brought a fucking killer set, and we ended up winning the fucking thing. So after Kaiser gets up there and talks all this shit, fuck you, Kaiser, we end up walking away with the prize money. And, like, as we were walking out, the dude's like, man, we didn't even need this bullshit. We're playing with, like, we're fucking circle jerking Scott Stapp next week or whatever the fuck they were saying. And Ghost just turns around and looks at the guy. He goes, man, you played this same shitty club with us for 4 weeks, and you didn't even get the money. And then just walked to his car. And this dude, okay, I don't know if you know what we look like, but Craig and I are very follically challenged men,
right,
as was the lead singer, Kaiser. And this dude's head turned into a fucking tomato with a face. Like, just turned red and steam shot out of his ears, and it was one of the most glorious moments ever.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one road story. I got another doozy, but it's your turn now.
Well, I was just going to say, like, yeah, that definitely plays into some of the experiences I've had with more radio-friendly bands. And I don't want to say that that's been true every time. I just want to be, if you're playing the odds, is you're going to come across way bigger douchebags the more mainstream a band gets.
This is where I feel like there's dudes out there that genuinely like that kind of music and want to make that kind of music, and when they put their minds to making that kind of music, do it very well. Not my cup of tea, but I can certainly recognize the quality. Then there's assholes out there that can play a fucking few chords, and they're like, let's make some cash.
Right.
And then they go and fucking do that, and those are the douchey ones. But there's the problem with, like, that style of music, the really mainstream, like, top 40 kind of stuff, is there's way more of those assholes than there are dudes that are actually committed to that craft that I'm not a fan of, but I get it.
Right.
Like, not everybody wants to listen to fucking Yngwie on a tractor all day like I do.
All right. I will say we did have a pleasant surprise in which the opposite happened, where a band that we didn't think was going to be that cool ended up being awesome. And we were playing a show in Austin, and this was, I want to say, a year ago, about. And we were playing at a place called Texas Mist, which is an old-style roadhouse that got bought out. It had changed owners numerous times over the years, and it's recently turned into like a hard rock metal club. Nice. Very cool. The people that work there, awesome. Shout out to Jim, who does a lot of the booking and works the bar.
Jim.
Yeah. So Jim, and we've played there a few times, but either the first or second time that we have played there, and so it's just south of Austin. So I believe it's on Old Bastrop Highway. Okay. But what that means is, like, when people envision Austin, what they envision is the downtown area of what it would be like 6th or 7th Street, where you just walk like bar to bar.
It's like
and there's
food
clubs
trucks
everywhere, right? Well, this is not that. This is like, I don't know, 5 miles away, which is not far, but it's very much off of a country road, and it's an old style, like, blues honky-tonk bar that was converted into a metal club.
I love those venues more, though, than some of the inner city gigs, for sure.
So it was awesome. And we ended up playing with a band called 99 Crimes. And I normally try to check out the bands that we play with, at least online, before we play with them. So I have an idea of what they're like. And they sounded, and they are, very 80s hard rock. And
actually, Dieselbees can maybe get down.
Well, no, but what I mean is like MTV, like straight up like 80s hair metal.
Oh no, no.
And I actually have a certain affinity for that. Like I don't outright hate it. Like I do have to kind of be in a mood. But
do you own leopard pants, Craig?
I don't.
You don't own leopard, dude. Does your soul?
I don't. No.
Pants?
No. I never secretly wanted to be David Lee Roth, but I do love David Lee Roth.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're a very handsome dude, but your shirt is very fishnetty. I think your soul wears some leopard pants.
Right. Well, maybe.
Maybe
it's repressed. But so we played our set, and we played our full-on set. Which
your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah. And the guy that was playing in the band after us, 99 Crimes, he comes up to me and he was very nice, very complimentary in an honest way. Like, you can kind of tell after a while, like, if someone is just fucking blowing smoke up your ass or if they mean it. And he was genuinely nice. And, I was telling him that we were from Dallas and that I checked him out online and I was really interested to see him live. And he said, he's like, if you could help us get to Dallas, like, that'd be great. My band hasn't been up there yet. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's like, but I have played there with my other band. And I'm like, oh, well, who's your other band? And he's like, Dangerous Toys. And I'm like, wait, you mean The Dangerous Toys? That was like on MTV and had a hit. And he's like, yeah. So his name is Paul Liddell, and he looks like a young dude. But he's been their guitar player for like 25 plus years.
Fuck. Damn.
And they play like the 70,000 tons of metal, and they will go play Bomb Factory to sold out crowds.
See.
And they will do big shows still. He still plays with them. They still get out and play. But when he's not doing their shows, he has his own gig, which is 99 Crimes, which is very similar stylistically. It's very much 80s hair metal, but they do a rad job with it.
I feel like you can still do, because like you had me like, I wasn't completely sold because I'm not really huge into hair metal, but I feel like you can still be in a hair metal band if you were in an original hair metal band. Like that, there's a legitimacy to that you can't shake.
No, he grandfathered in.
Yeah, well, he's not a poser. Like, let me put it to you that way. Like, we got another friend.
It's like that dude has spent more on Aquanet than you spent on fucking gear.
We got a buddy of ours named Bastard. Shout out to Bastard.
Nice.
And he's been in several of the Dallas area, like, 80s metal bands, and he's done, like, Motley Crue tribute bands and a bunch of stuff. He's done original stuff and cover stuff. He's just a working musician.
What position?
Guitar player.
Nice.
And but he's legit. Like, even though he plays 80s style metal, like, the dude lives it, breathes it. Like, there's no faking it with him. That's who he is, and he does it well. Like, it's like, for people that would be like, poser, and it's like, no. He means it. Like, like, you're probably more of a poser for saying that than he is for doing it.
Yeah, you're a poser for not recognizing how much of the poser this guy isn't.
Yeah. So
it's a paradox.
It just varies from scene to scene. But the point being is like, we got a really nice compliment from someone that we wouldn't have immediately thought would be cool that way. And then he turns around and he gets us a really cool show in Austin again. And they bring out a good crowd, and those people are very nice to us, even though stylistically we don't have a lot in common.
Mm-hmm. You guys put on a great show, though. You're a crowd winner, even if people aren't necessarily into your sound. Because, I mean, and we've talked about this before, like, and you guys don't even growl that much, but those harsh vocals will put any casual listener that isn't like a metalhead, it'll put a lot of those guys off. They won't even give it a chance. But at the same time, like, you're not just up there screaming in people's faces. Like, there's red mist going, and you're holding a fucking spear, and like Alex is kicking, and John's down in the crowd like slamming beers while he's playing bass. Like, you guys put on an excellent show. You win entire crowds over that. Like, because I mean, that's definitely how you won it over in Denton. Because you have your own flavor. You bring your whole other thing to the table. That's me putting your band over for a second. So.
Thank you.
Silver Tongue Devil plays a great show. You should go see them.
Well, thank you. That is just something that we really, honestly tried to focus on. Is, because anytime, someone puts a band together, whether it's 2 dudes or whether it's 5 dudes or whatever, is, you start playing music and you put stuff together and then you try to play live, but you really do, like, no matter what, like, you do end up putting thought into how are we going to present this and, like, what are we going to do? and all of this kind of stuff, and you really try to package it together. And that's true of even like the most underground punk band, because even that is like, that is who they are. That's the image that they're projecting. And it's not that it's just image, but it's like whether they talk between songs or don't talk between songs, or whether they have a show or whether they don't have a show, that's still a show.
The sentence that's about to come out of my mouth is going to sound cheeseball as fuck, but I'm still going to say it. That's rock and roll. Like, and at the heart of all of this, like, even heavy metal, the heaviest metal band takes cues from, like, rock and roll.
Right.
And, I mean, it's always been about, like, spectacle is part of it. You know what I mean? And that's actually true with any musician going back in any genre throughout time. Like, when you package your art or your rage or whatever it is you're trying to get across, I don't know. When it's easier to convey, it's more accessible to whoever you're trying to present it to. I don't know. I kind of went off on a tangent there. We can actually edit that out.
No edits. Fuck it. It stays.
I fucking lost that. I had a thought and it just fucking floated right out of my
No,
damn head.
I think I know where you're going with that. And my only take on it is like, whether it's a band that consciously tries to put on a show, whether that be like lights or makeup or masks or whatever, like whatever they want to do, or if it's a band that's like, nah, fuck that, man, it's like we're just us and we play it. It's like, that's cool too. They're both equally good, but you have to realize that both of them are a consciously thought out image.
Yes, that is the decision was made.
Yes. It is like, if you're like, nah, that's fucking lame, we're not gonna fucking put on shit, we're just gonna jam. And in the case
of grunge, like, not making a decision was the decision made. It's a decision.
Yeah. So, like, what we consciously thought about doing is that we love many different styles of metal, from the most like well-known, like Dio, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, like I
never heard of those bands ever.
Like all of that, plus all of this super underground stuff. But what we would find is that like a lot of the super underground metal bands, even though musically we love them, is they would have a very standoffish attitude about fans or interaction or stage show, where it's like they stand up there and they look grim and they don't really talk about anything, and they're just brutal all the time. That's the big thing. You got to be brutal all the time. And even if like I would love the music and all that kind of stuff, like, well, it's okay if one band does that, but when you start to see
entire scenes doing that,
entire scenes where everybody is just fucking grim and tough, and it's like, dude, I know you're not tough. Like, I saw you on the parking lot. You know what I mean? It's like
that song was about a dragon. That song was literally about a dragon. Like,
we just wanted to consciously engage the audience with extreme music, the same way as if you went and saw Dio and he's playing to the crowd.
Right.
I don't understand having people in front of you and not playing to them.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise it's essentially like practice that people are watching, and I don't get it. And
I'm actually totally there with you, and because there are some bands that can just get so far up their own ass with that stuff that you're essentially watching them experiment with, on stage. If there's no connection, then it's not art. It's just noise. I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, then again, it's like that just falls in under the category of, what we wanted to do. Because, it's like me and Alex started the band, and Alex is a great performer.
Yes.
And
it's very entertaining.
Like one of the things about Alex is that Alex will smile a lot on stage. And
Alex likes to point at girls.
And, very early on, there's a conversation where, he was like, oh, should I not do it? And I was like, no, you should 100%.
Absolutely embrace that.
Yeah, like run with it. And just because, like, that's the idea. It's like, how many extreme metal bands do you see where the guitar player has this total shit-eating grin on his face the whole time.
And he's so fucking high energy on stage.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts. Like, seriously, watch Silver Tongue Devil. They're very, very good. But yeah, he's crazy on stage. He's so fucking energetic. It's insane.
Well, even if, the idea being that even if you don't like what we do, is even if you're just watching, you're like, fuck that. It's like, okay, but it will at least provoke you to hate it. We'd much rather be either intensely loved and appreciated or intensely hated. But what we really don't want is that boring middle ground.
Exactly.
Someone just watched your set and they're like, oh man, it was cool.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
No.
No,
what you guys do is you provide spectacle to sink your teeth in, whether it's to the positive or to the negative. I feel like we kind of do that too.
Like, you absolutely. I mean,
we play a lot of extreme metal shows with our wizard rock.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
But it's greatness. I mean, our first show that we played with you guys, we played at Andy's in Denton.
Yep,
and
that was fun.
We didn't know who you were, and you didn't know who we were.
Trashed that night. That was one of the worst shows we ever played.
But we loved it just because we could see the vibe and we could see you guys giving it. And is that to me is just everything. Is if I see a band just up there fucking going for it, is like. You could be playing like acoustic rock, you could be playing super underground death metal, you could be playing anything in between. But if you've got that dedication and that energy and you're just like going for it, then I'm a fan. And I immediately picked up on that. And we've laughed about it because you've come back and you've been like, oh, that was one of our worst shows.
It was so bad.
Maybe
guys.
It was, but it was enough to sell me that I was like, oh, this is different than all the other bands that we play with. So, we'll go out on the road and play with bands, and the ones that we will make like really long friendships with is we have that. It's like, you're cool. Yeah. We want to play with you again.
We had the same exact thought. No, we never thought about, like, when we started Diesel Beast, like, we had a very clear picture. Like, we were going to be different. We never even really entertained the thought of, like, harsh vocals. I mean, and we love harsh vocals.
Yeah, no.
I love metal. I love all metal. But we don't do that. We do the clean vocal thing because nobody else fucking does it anymore.
Right, yeah.
We sing, like, about high fantasy because nobody does that shit anymore. We do.
Well, and even then, like, I mean, I have seen some of that, but I haven't seen it in the way that you guys do it, because a lot of that I've seen is either in power metal, which is not you guys.
No.
Is that you guys don't have a power metal sound, but there is a lot of like dragons and wizards and power metal. And also in the doom / stoner rock scene, which then again, you guys kind of straddle both, because you could easily play with a power metal band and fit, but you don't sound like Manowar or Sabaton or Iced Earth or something like that. And by the same token, you could totally like fucking kick ass on a stoner doom metal show, but you don't really sound like Candlemass or Crop Dust for a local band around here, or I Hate God or any of those guys. Like, you fit, but you don't sound like them. And I think that always plays into a band's favor, is if you're complimentary to a scene or a sound, but you don't really sound exactly like all those other bands.
It gives us a bit of versatility for sure, and what part of that is that we took a very roots heavy metal like approach, you know what I mean? So it's kind of where everything branched off from in the first place. But can I make a confession? I fucking love Manowar.
Yeah.
They're everything that is wrong. So many aspects of heavy metal. I love them.
Very sad that I missed them live when they came to Dallas. But Alex, my guitar
player, like $130, man.
I know. Well, Alex, my guitar player, went, and he said that they were fantastic, and he loved it. And Alex is a huge power metal fan.
Yes,
like he definitely brings that element into our music. Like one of his very favorite bands ever is Iced Earth.
That actually explains so much.
And I love Iced Earth, but he takes it to another level. Like
yes.
He like John Schaefer is like one of his favorite guitar players.
I was in an Iced Earth cover band when I was 13. It was horrible.
I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear a demo tape of that.
Absolutely would.
Oh man, it was actually pretty good. The drummer was 13, I was 17, and the other guitar player was 18. They were the heirs to the Mission Tortilla Company.
That's something.
But they were, I mean, that very small aspect, but they were both extremely nice and extremely good musicians. And we found a bass player who was also about 16 and was just phenomenal. And
It sounds like it was rad. You're like
I know.
talking about how much it sucked. I want to hear
I didn't
your
say
Ice
it
Stairs
sucked.
cover band.
I just did. I wasn't in it for very long once we got the good players, you see. So, but that's what motivated me to, do what I do now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but and
But
you can tell.
Earth.
But
Fucking
no,
love Iced Earth.
Jason will talk power metal all day. Jason's a thrash kid. I've never heard thrashier licks just come out of one dude.
Have you seen Sabaton?
I've
You
not
would
seen them.
Fucking love Sabaton.
Like
So
I
good.
I love the band, but I've never seen them live.
So good. So good. Like I'm very much of the opinion that I can't really accurately say whether I like or don't like a band until I see them live. Like
I am
like-
usually of that opinion. There's a
that
couple
will
of
usually
exceptions.
solidify it for
like
me.
look, there are important caveats because there's some bands I never got to see live that I fucking love, like Death, right? I never
Right.
got the opportunity to see Death, and I adore their music. And like a lot of the other like older bands, like look, I've never seen Led Zeppelin, but I know that I love Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
So with that being said, by and large, like especially with newer bands, is I do
Yeah.
kind of try to wait to reserve judgment until I get a chance to see them live. And Sabaton was so good because not only were they spot on, but
They
they
engaged
brought
the hell out of their audience.
they had so much energy live that they made their records heavier live, and I was highly impressed by that because that's a real skill.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that's usually what solidifies it for me as well. But
tell
like,
you, we've talked about this before. There, a few years ago, they had the Housecore, the first Housecore horror festival.
Yeah,
In Austin.
Yeah, the Phil's. So Housecore is Phil Anselmo's indie label that he runs, and they put on a horror convention that featured a mix of bands and directors and horror movies and actresses and all this kind of stuff.
There was oh man, that was one of the best weekends. But you remember Down played.
Yeah,
And I'm not a huge Down fan. I never, like, after Pantera, like, I never really got into Superjoint Ritual or Hell Yeah or any of those guys. Not really. And especially not Down. But then I saw Down live. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I'm not going to run out and just, like, buy a bunch of fucking Down gear. But if somebody was just like, hey, I have an extra ticket to Down, do you want to go? I'd be like, yeah. Because it was a really good show. It was a high-energy show. They played their asses off. There's some serious musicianship in that band for sure. But I remember distinctly just being like, I'm really enjoying Down right now.
Yeah.
It was a very strange feeling.
no, that's cool because that that is exactly what will happen. Is that there will bands that I will think that I'll really like, and then I see them live, I'm like, no, that's not happening. They suck. And then the converse happens where a band I'm not really sold on, I see them live and they kick ass, and you're like, oh shit, I need to reevaluate this.
Yep.
And that's for me why I try to reserve judgment until I see somebody, because for me, like, a band is defined by how good they are live.
Agreed.
Like, I know that there are bands that will live and die, and they will by just putting out records or recordings online. And I know that, like, especially from what I've heard, like, I know that there are some European bands where it's like they never play live, they put together a record, and then they get signed by somebody. And I'm like, how in the fuck does that even happen? But, that's just different than my mentality, because my mentality is that if I go see you, even if it's a shit night and there's 10 people there to see you, are you going to deliver? And if you do, I'm a fan. Like, I will buy your shirt, I will buy your CD, and I'll put your sticker where everybody can see it.
Did you come out to that Parker House show?
I
Of course
did.
you did. Nobody fucking did.
Oh, yeah, busted. No, I wish I did, but I did not.
No, dude, we played it. It was fucking freezing that night, and it was an outdoor gig, and there was like 4 people there, and 2 of them were our girlfriends or something. But we put on a killer show. Like, we got some footage of that show from the guy that was recording it. It was a really good show.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, like, 2 people or 2,000. I think 2,000 people is probably the biggest crowd I've ever played in front of.
Nice. That's impressive.
It was, that was pretty fun. But anyway, like, you are still there to do a job, if that makes sense. I know that sounds kind of cheesy as well, but I mean, Like, I showed up to do this.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I phone it in? Like, I need to, like, get it done. And the only problem is sometimes I have too many beers. And, like, that's my biggest obstacle.
You know, I like I said, I'm very forgiving when I see a band. Like, I am willing to forgive all manner of fuck-ups. Broken guitar strings, fucking, like, missed parts, missed cues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am fine with all of that if I see someone really putting out the effort in trying to engage the audience and it doesn't seem like they're phoning it in.
Exactly.
However, I'm hypercritical to someone that I see that it really just seems like they'd rather not be there, or if they don't even, like, notice the crowd.
Like, Craig just walks up, starts throwing peanuts at him.
Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah, shame.
Shame.
Yeah. No, for real. Like, I will be that way because, like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, why are you here?
If you're not, like, there to, in some manner, either good or bad, like, entertain the crowd. And, like, even, like I said, like, even if you're the most underground fucking punk metal band, like, I get it, like, that's your angle, but fucking do it. Like, do it full on. And if you do, like, one of my favorite bands ever is Napalm Death. And the reason that I love Napalm Death is because those cats have been doing it longer than almost anybody on the underground scene, and they throw down every time. And somehow, they actually sound better now than they did back in the day. And that is crazy. That is insane
to think about what they do,
to think about that these dudes in their 50s are throwing down harder than dudes in their 20s.
They are in their fucking 50s, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's crazy to think, because when I think Napalm Death, I think, like, fucking, like 1996 Napalm Death, maybe.
But no, like, they've never quit. They're constantly out on tour. They're constantly putting out records that sound amazing, by the way. And when you see them live, they are full on. There's no easing back. There's no, like, taking it easy or phoning it in because they're in a city that's not a major city like LA or New York or something like that. If they're playing Tulsa, Oklahoma on a Tuesday night, they're giving you a fucking show. And to me, that is greatness. Even though it's just those guys up there jamming their songs, like, they're providing an amazing show. And that, to me, makes all the difference. And it could be that, or it could be Rammstein that's playing, like, an arena with, like, $1 billion worth of fire.
I'm going to say I fucking love Rammstein, too. When I saw Rammstein, I was, like, 14. And 14-year-old Carrek singed his fucking eyebrows in the 14th row and was just like, this is the shit.
Yeah.
If you're going to play industrial metal, you should do it in German, and you should do it with a shitload of fire.
Yeah.
They do it right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Anyway, we need to take a break because I desperately need tobacco in my bloodstream.
What song do we want to listen to from Silver Tongue Devil on our break?
Oh, man. I don't even know.
Because tonight we're going to put over our own bands. We've been stroking each other all night. Now you're going to have to listen to our stuff.
I tell you what, we'll play a deep cut. We'll play a track off of our first album called Black Hand.
Silver Tongue Devil, take a listen.
Corrupt bastards with muscle cocks, ruling class entitled to manic flesh, fascists, anarchists, and law by law gather in seclusion to indulge a taste of gold, drugs, and extricate. Strike youth, running to engage. Sinister tyrants play ascending roads. Captured on, give my all the hand of black. Despotic tendencies ripped to the floor. Dionysus nude on the killing stone. Parasitic orgy of the book of blood. Guided by the touch that preaches all. So cold, but maniacs driven back with lust. Into secret circles till they go. That's a chamber of secrets where they want. Fertile light, the fever, from a mountain. Manipulation. Subjection to the fiendish mind. Dark path to tribulation. Manipulation of the left-hand side. The circle of shit is expanding. Into deeper circles all must go. Captives of gigantic plans. Already dead to the world. No hope for the coming dawn. All will die by the blood. Infernal gathering tries to oppose the war of terror. Goes to tell its home. Sacrificial victims are disposed. Final rape of innocence now imposed. Erotic hungers never sated. Beastly desires grow and grow. Quixotic loaded the darkest storm. Speaks of parties soon to come. Blackhand strangulation. Subjection to the fiendish mind. Dark path tribulation. Manipulation of the left-hand side. Blackhand strangulation. Subjection to the fiendish mind. Dark path tribulation. Manipulation of the left-hand side.
Right.
We're currently
Spotify.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're rolling again.
Rolling
and,
again.
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
I can cut all that shit out before. So
Yeah, okay. Cool.
I
Or
was,
we could just
uh,
have like a shitload of dead air and let people just sit
How awkward
by.
would that be? Just fucking
30
just
seconds of
sitting-
dead air,
so-
they just stop listening.
Do some Andy Kaufman type shit where we're like intentionally pissing off the audience. No, we won't do that, but it's kind of fun to contemplate. But let me ask you this. So you guys have got a lot going on because you recently did an album.
Yes.
Your first full-length album, which was how long in the making? So if it was released this year, how long do you think you all were working on it? From the beginning of writing until
Technically
4
about 4
years.
years.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we recorded the album 3 separate times. So we recorded it once as a demo, and that's what we had out for I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And
as far as demos go, it wasn't bad. But by the time we started to record the album in earnest, those songs weren't even played the same way anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They were much different. But yeah, so we recorded it the first time after the demo, and we just didn't really like the way it sounded. So because we did it without a click track, and it's fucking metal. So then the second time we just scrapped it and tried to start it to a click track because we had done Quest for the Diesel Beast with Eric Delegard.
Right. And for those of you that don't know it, Jason, our very own Diesel Beast's Jason and of Jason's House USA and the producer of Warlord Radio, was also the audio engineer for that entire fucking album.
Yes.
So yeah, Jason's our audio wizard who's making this whole podcast possible.
He is a stinky audio wizard.
Yeah. So Carrek and I are just the knuckleheads that talk into the mic.
We have pleasant speaking voices, and we decided to run with it.
Jason is the mastermind behind all of the audio tech stuff.
Because we would be talking about this shit whether he was here or not. He just was cool enough to set up mics.
Right, yeah. That's basically it. He makes us sound better than we should.
Exactly.
So, but no, you definitely made the album sound great.
Well, thank you.
It was important to us because we didn't go for label or anything like that. We hired a producer that we knew very well. Shout out to Victor Gann. And Victor Gann was not only instrumental, but like without Victor Gann, there would be no album, period.
So let me ask you this, because like I've never worked with a producer. I mean, I've definitely heard stories of people working with producers, but what was his role as producer? Like what did he actually contribute or have say-so in decisions?
He had say-so in decisions on whatever. I mean, he didn't have, he let us have final decision, but he was there with the knowledge and the experience of being in the industry for the last almost 3 decades.
It was more like pro tips, because we're an older band just as far as age range goes. We've been doing this for a little while, so I mean, like, we had pretty good instincts, I guess, in the first place, but what he did was help us focus and refine certain rough edges for sure.
Can you give me an example?
So Wyatt is our guitar player I met him through Victor. He's been my assistant for years. He auditioned for the band, great guitar player, but he was having some issues with phrasing his solos. He wrote all the solos on the album,
like
damn near on the
licks,
spot.
But I mean, they were all over the place.
Yeah,
you know what
and
I mean?
so he helped. He also did this for Ghost the first time we recorded, and that's another reason why we brought him in to produce the album, was because nobody could ever get through to Ghost. Because it's not that Ghost is a know-it-all or anything, but he knows a lot, and he knows when you're blowing smoke and you're just trying to tell him to do something.
Right.
But for some reason, when Victor told him to do something, he just fucking did it, and immediately it was
because
better.
it was good advice.
Exactly. So we were just like, well, shit, if you're going to do that, like, let's do the same thing with Wyatt, because that's his issue,
if it's
is
not
phrasing.
Clear, when we talked about that demo earlier, Ghost at that time was both the lead singer and the lead guitar player.
Right, yeah.
And then when Ghost took like a small hiatus, and we ended up getting Wyatt in on guitar, and then Ghost came back for vocals, and it changed a lot. But Victor is a very accomplished guitar player himself, very, very good, and so he was really what Victor was so good at, because we had a really solid rhythm section. Like, Rogan and I had a really comprehensive view of what we were trying to do. But Victor was really good at just like making sure that the guitars were precise and on purpose, and just kind of like just really sharpening that edge on the guitars, and which was, in my opinion, quintessential. I think the guitars on the album are really good.
Oh yeah. No, it's a great sound. But is there anything that he brought up that you guys disagreed with, where you're just like, nah?
I mean, there was a lot during the recordings.
He helped us restructure a couple of songs, and there was like.
There was a lot of stuff that he would suggest. He'd throw ideas out during the recording. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Do this, do that. And we'd try it. And if we didn't like it, it's like, nah, whatever. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I can see, like we'd give him, reasons. And if they were valid, he'd be like, okay. And if they weren't valid, he'd be like, well, check it out this way or try this. And, he was just, he really was instrumental in keeping us on task and like keeping us true to what we were trying to do.
Like, did it.
Yeah.
Because Victor would, if we set up a session with Victor where Victor was going to be there, Victor would come in, he'd be one of the first people there, he'd be one of the last people to leave, and he would sit there the entire session and listen to everything and give notes. He was not there to just fucking sit back and be like, I'm going to get 5% of this shit one day. Right. Like, he was there to work. And it was good because it kind of motivated everybody else to work. Because anybody that's ever been in a band, like, it is really easy to just sit there and smoke weed and talk about Satan.
Right.
Like, that could have easily been this band. But, like, we had help.
And that's most of my Saturday nights, by the way.
Why would you not do that? That's a great Saturday night. That sounds perfect.
Yeah. No, I'm very curious about that, because I've never worked with a producer. And
it was important to us from the get-go. We wanted to release a studio quality album.
Yeah, which you did.
Thank you. We worked that's why it took so long to get that thing just right, because we were not going to release it until it was just right. But we wanted to do it without a record label. We wanted to do it like we packaged that thing ourselves.
Yeah.
The artwork is us.
Yeah. It's 100% diesel beats, which I love, by the way. I mean, I love it when bands or artists, like whoever it is, like authors, movie makers, whatever, is I love that when they just take ownership of something and they run with it, because I know that even if it's not perfect, I'm actually seeing their vision of what they want.
Yeah.
And like you guys totally delivered, because the package is awesome. Like the sound is great, and I'm not just blowing smoke. Like I'm saying,
dude,
like
I wanted
like
to make Beastmaster the band, and I feel like we're accomplishing that.
Yes.
Like, yeah,
and I love that, because I adore the Beastmaster.
Exactly,
which is great. But no, like I just mean on a professional level, like everything is top notch, because it sounds great and it's got great packaging, and you can tell that a lot of care went into the presentation, and it was well thought out, and that is 100% a record that could easily be sold anywhere in the world, in any store or, any online, like streaming or anything like that. It's the full package. And, it's like a lot of people that don't know or don't care, they're just like casual music fans, is they take a lot of that shit for granted. Well, what happens is that for the vast majority of music that most people will listen to, and that's true whether it's like country or rock or rap or pop or whatever, is that there's an army of people that does that shit. Mm-hmm. And when you distill all of that work down to like 4 dudes, that is a fucking impressive accomplishment. In the same way that if you go see like a Marvel movie, right? Yeah. There's a reason the credits at the end are like 5 fucking minutes long.
Yeah, there's like 5,000 like graphic artists or what. Yeah.
Or if you watch a movie like The Evil Dead, that was like 5 dudes that took a camera out into the middle of nowhere.
I love that movie. So I watched it like 2 days ago. I do still love that movie.
But like that's my point. Yeah. Is that like a group of kids did something that stood the test of time for no fucking money, and it's greatness. And there's plenty of good entertainment and whatever that costs a lot of money and puts an army of people behind it. But what I'm saying is, to me, it's way more impressive to know the amount of work that went into it, and to see like a good product it's hard to do anything good.
Yeah. It's hard to produce anything of quality, period.
At all. Like, it's like, when I say hard, that's underselling it. It's insanely difficult.
Like,
to
almost
do.
Impossible.
So, So, it's like putting out a good record is no small accomplishment.
No.
And, like, really few do it. Like, a lot of people will put out a record, but it's like, is it well thought out? Is it well linked, like image-wise, to the music? Like,
is
does it connect with the fans? Does it accurately represent the band? Or are there just a lot of bells and whistles that they'll never pull off live in a million years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's 100 million little details like that, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys, like, no joke, did a great job putting that together. So, is hopefully, it sells 1 million copies and people buy it. But even if it doesn't, that's a huge accomplishment for around here, because there's not many bands that can claim that. So, for instance, if you wanted to compare like Dallas bands, right? Biggest Dallas band ever, obviously, Pantera, right? So Pantera became known at Cowboys from Hell, and to my knowledge, that was album number 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. 4 or 5.
Yeah, because they'd already done power metal.
I do apologize to the hardcore Pantera fans if I'm fucking that up. My point,
they will let you know.
My point being is that they did a number of albums before that, varying degrees of good or bad, but they were still kind of like searching for their sound, and the sound quality was like a little iffy, which is fine. Look, I mean, that happens.
Well, no, like it naturally evolve. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that it took for them to get signed to a label, and it took them years, which is a testament to them, like putting in the time and the work, right, to get it right. And you guys got it right on your first album.
Thank you. Well, there's no pressure there, right? If we put out another album, it better not suck.
And not to say that other bands don't do this, but like we all kind of feel like the album should portray the show. Like the album is sold so when people can't hear you live, they listen to your album, but the whole point is for them to come see you live.
Right.
And in my opinion, if you put out an album that you can't perform live, for most things, you shouldn't have put it out.
Off what you
can't perform
unless you're like
live.
a session dude, but I mean, if you're a band that can't pull off what you just did on the album live, then
exactly, or something close to it. I understand production and thickening things up and double track and triple track and whatever, but it's like if you can't play your own fucking riffs on stage, then why put the album out? In my opinion,
I agree, but I would also like to point out that, to be conservative, probably 75% of the bands that people know that they listen to can't do it.
That's insane to me.
Like for real. It's like when most people, the average person doesn't really go to a concert, or if they do, they maybe go to like see their favorite band like once a year or something along those lines,
right,
where they're seeing it at a huge venue. Well, when they do that, what they don't know is that there's all kinds of backing tracks being played through the PA
triggers,
that are pre-recorded guitars, that are pre-recorded vocals, that have little audio samples to fill out like any synthesizer parts or anything like that. And there can be multiple tracks of that going on. So it's not that it's just like, one rhythm guitar track is playing. It's like there might be like 12 tracks playing on top of the dudes on stage, right? Mm-hmm. And then depending on the band is that even if the dudes are on stage playing it, sometimes there's dudes off stage playing to make sure that those parts are
on. No, is that a real thing?
Yeah. ZZ Top did it all the time.
Kiss
has
done it.
Yeah, that's
Kiss. Kiss. All right, I love Kiss for what they are to rock and roll and metal. Kiss was a terrible fucking band.
No. Look. I'm gonna defend what they were. Is like I think Kiss is absolutely integral to the history of rock.
Absolutely.
And I think that at one point that they were absolutely one of the baddest bands on the face of the planet. Now, that does not mean that everything that they have done is great. No. And that does not mean that every show that they've done is wonderful. And I'm not picking on them because a lot of what they do, they got from like more mainstream acts. Is my only point is that what a lot of people don't realize is that when they go see a band that they know from the radio or that they know from a video or from a movie soundtrack or whatever, is that there's an excellent chance, like Vegas odds, is that the band is not really that good. They cannot perform their own material well, and that they need significant enhancement from a team of people. And that you really only kind of see like real raw talent is if you do get out to the clubs and see a band that just fucking can't afford to do that. So therefore you have to do it yourself.
Yes.
And
we absolutely cannot afford a team of people to make us sound awesome.
Right.
If we could, I'd use that shit in a heartbeat.
So you do it yourself, which is a beautiful thing. That's what I love to go see a band do is, but then again is like, I do really feel that that's an undervalued like quality, is that a lot of people have no idea like the amount of work that it takes to be able to pull off like a good live sound and sell it convincingly.
Yeah.
Is because I go to a lot of shows.
Yes.
And I don't see a lot of bands that can do it. I do see bands that can do it, absolutely. I'm not saying that I don't. And I really appreciate the ones that can do, but they're not in the majority.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you think about any major, even Iron Maiden, for instance.
They can. I'm not talking about something like them because
my trained ear. I went and saw Iron Maiden when they came to American Airlines, and it was a great show. It was fucking excellent. Steve Harris is a goddamn monster.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I heard probably 7 guitars.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
they got guitarists on stage and stuff like that. But then again, I feel like we are talking about the exception because look, Iron Maiden is one of the baddest bands on the planet,
for sure.
And they very well might use like some backing tracks and stuff like that. That's true.
I think you have to when you're hitting that level.
Backing tracks is not necessarily what I'm talking about.
Right. Yes.
You're talking about an entirely separate
exactly.
performance.
Yeah. For instance, Godsmack. I saw Godsmack early 2000s back in the day.
Godsmack sucks. The devil.
No. It not only did the show suck, but the guitar player didn't play one fucking solo. Every time a solo would come up, he would turn around and put his guitar into his amp to feedback, and then as soon as the solo was done, he'd turn around and play the rhythm parts again. That is all he fucking did the whole concert. I burned all my fucking Godsmack records. I stopped listening to them. Same thing with Stained.
Right.
They were just shit. They were horrible live.
I can attest to that.
They were fucking horrible.
That's crazy. Okay, well, we got to wrap it up here, but I have to ask. So we're talking about rad bands and bands that we're have seen live and excited to see live. You want to go to Behemoth?
Yes.
Because Behemoth is coming
with At the Gates.
Oh my God! See, okay. First off, Behemoth doesn't come to America. They sure as shit don't come to fucking Texas, and they damn sure don't come to the DFW. And for some reason, they are this time.
It's a great thing. I love Behemoth, and I love At the Gates, and this will be my first time to see At the Gates.
Nice. So, and those tickets go on sale, like, what is it? It's like Monday, right?
I don't even know, but
okay.
I'm definitely going.
I'm also definitely going. So, after the Behemoth show, we'll probably do an episode where we just fucking geek out on how fucking awesome Behemoth was.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful time. Thanks for listening to all of our bullshit. This has been Warlord Radio. Hail Satan.
What song are we gonna play from Diesel Beast?
We're gonna do Quest for the Diesel Beast.
So you're gonna be the douche that's gonna play a song that's not even on the album that you just released.
We are because
it's a deep cut.
It's a deep cut. I like it. I like it. So one
B-side.
album, and you guys are doing the B-side. I dig it.
Exactly.
I dig it.
This song is featuring Megan Lackey, though, formerly of I Am Man, I Am Monster.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody that I'm desperately trying to get back into the metal scene because we lost something special with that one. So, enjoy Quest for the Diesel Beast with Megan Lackey, and Hail Crowley, and Hail McDonald's, and Hail Satan. I guess we need to sign off. We'll come up with that next time.
Right?
Yay!
All right, cool.
Diesel Beast. morphing from a dream into cosmic night, beholding pathways of the